the group 8, and today we will be discussing the mucus controlling drug therapy. So I give the floor to Jillian to discuss the control of drug mucus.
So, to start with, the general indication for mucoactive therapy is to reduce the accumulation of airway secretions with concomitant improvement in pulmonary function and gas exchange and the prevention of repeated infection and airway damage. So dito, yung main goal ng mucoactive therapy natin is para ma-reduce yung build up ng airway secretions, which is nakakatulong siya para ma-improve ang lung function natin, gas exchange, at para maiwasan ang infections at damage sa airway. Mucoactive agents differ in their mechanism of action. Secretion properties that impair airway clearance also differ between different diseases and at different times in the course of a disease. The source and properties of airway secretions and the mechanisms of action for the mucoactive agents are the basis for clinical use of this class of drugs. Dito naman sa mucoactive agents natin, it works in different ways, and the decision para magamit yung particular na mucoactive drug is nakabase siya sa understanding where the mucus comes from, sa properties niya, and sa specific mechanism of action. Next slide. So let's move on with the physiology of the mucociliary system. Source of airway secretions, the conducting airways in the lung and the nasal cavity to the oropharynx are lined by what we call the mucociliary system. Mucus, it is the secretion lining the surface of the airway, and we have two phases of mucus, the gel layer and the watery periciliary layer. A gel layer is 0.5 to 20 micrometer, is propelled toward the larynx by the cilia and floats on top of a watery periciliary layer which is 7 micrometer naman siya, the height of a fully extended cilium. Next slide. So we have here a diagram. As you can see sa image, it illustrates the principal components and innervation ng ating mucociliary system sa respiratory tract. So ang highlight nito is yung mga key structures na involved sa airway protection and mucus clearance. Meron dyan sa may taas yung bronchial lumen. It is lined by ciliated columnar epithelium and surface goblet cells. So these work together to produce mucus composed of yung dalawa dyan sa taas din, yung gel phase and sol phase. And it move it upward via cilia to clear inhaled particles. And dyan naman sa part sa gitna, yung submucosal gland, these glands contain mucus and serous granular cells which contribute to mucus production and secretion sa ating lumen. And sa baba naman yung bronchial smooth muscle. This muscle layer is nakakatulong siya to regulate the diameter of the airway. And we have the innervation, yung tatlo dyan, the C fibers afferent, parasympathetic efferent, sympathetic efferent. So this system is innervated by several nerve fibers, which is yung tatlo nga. And for the C fiber, these are sensory fiber na nagtatransmit ng signal from the airway lining. And sa parasympathetic, motor fibers naman siya that stimulate gland secretion and smooth muscle contraction. And sa sympathetic, it is also motor fibers that generally cause smooth muscle relaxation naman. Next po. So we have here the table for mucoactive agents that is available for aerosol administration. Meron dito yung mga name of drugs, yung brand name niya, adult dosage, and yung kung saan siya ginagamit. We have here first the N-acetylcysteine or NAC. Brand name 10% mucomis and 20% mucomis. For the adult dosage is small volume nebulizer 3 to 5 ml, and it is used for bronchitis. Yung efficacy is not yet proven for any dose of N-acetylcysteine or NAC for any lung disease. And for the second one, we have the Dornies alpha. Its brand name is Pulmozyme, and for adult dosage, SVN din, 2.5 milligram per ampoule and 1 ampoule daily. And ginagamit naman siya for cystic fibrosis. Aqueous aerosols, water saline, and for adult dosage niya is small volume nebulizer and ultrasonic nebulizer. Both yung dalawa is 3 to 5 ml as ordered, and it is used for sputum induction, secretion, and mobilization naman. And we have here the last, the hypersmolar saline, 7%, and yung brand name niya is Hypersal. For adult dosage, SVN 4 ml, and it is used for airway clearance for therapy of cystic fibrosis naman. Next po. So we have here the essential secretory structures of the mucociliary system. Meron tayo dito surface epithelial cells, and under naman doon is the pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelial cells, surface goblet cells, Clara cells in the distal airway, and the second one, the submucosal glands with serous and mucous cells. Next po. Surface epithelial cells. The surface of the trachea and bronchi includes primarily ciliated cells and goblet cells. At a ratio of approximately 5:1, there are more than 6,000 goblet cells per square millimeter of normal airway mucosa. So dito naman sa ating goblet cells, they do not seem to be directly innervated sa human lung, although they respond naman sa mga irritants by increasing the production of mucus. Submucosal mucus glands below the epithelial surface are thought to provide much of the airway surface mucin. The submucosal gland is under parasympathetic or vagal control and responds to cholinergic stimulation by increasing the amount of mucus secreted. Dito naman sa submucosal, evidence also suggests that yung submucosal glands sa respiratory tract are innervated by sympathetic axons and peptidergic nerve system. Next po. So, meron tayo ditong dalawang figure. The figure, first is the figure 9.2, and it shows a mucus blanket. So this is the low magnification view of mucus layer within sa small airway or bronchiole ng isang hamster lung. And yung mga prominent rounded structures na visible dyan ay para siyang clumps or bubbles within sa mucus, and it demonstrate how the protective layer covers the underlying tissue. And sa second figure naman, the airway surface cell, ito naman yung higher magnification image niya, which reveals the mas detailed naman na cellular structure ng airway lining or epithelium. Meron dyan sa figure makikita yung cilia, or ito yung mga parang numerous na parang hair-like projections that rhythmically beat to move the mucus blanket and para matrap yung particles towards the throat for removal. And the epithelial cells, ito yung mga main cells forming the airway surface. The goblet cells, ito yung mga larger na parang bilog dyan. Rounder cells possibly releasing mucus onto the surface. And last, the microvilli. Ito naman yung mga tiny projections on some cell surfaces likely involved sa absorption and sa secretion. Next po. So meron ulit tayo ditong figure. Two types of cells, mucus and serous, na found in the glands. And itong figure na to is a light micrograph displaying the cellular structure of ferret airway stained for mucin. Meron silang ginamit dito na specialized staining technique, which is yung tinatawag natin na immunohistochemistry with Dolichos fibrosum agglutinin or DBA. And secretions from the serous and mucous cells mix in the submucosal gland and are transported through a ciliated duct onto the airway lumen. So itong figure na to, it highlights the protective lining known as the mucociliary apparatus, which is essential siya for trapping and clearing foreign particles sa airway natin. Mga key structures na visible dyan sa figure natin is first, the surface mucous goblet cells. Ito yung mga cells that produce mucus para matrap yung mga debris. And ciliated epithelial cells, ito naman yung mga cells that have tiny hair-like projections that move the mucus and trap particles upward and out of the airway. And last, the serous and mucous glands. These deeper glands also contribute sa mucus production and sa overall function ng airway defense system. So itong figure na to, it helps in illustrating the complex cellular defense mechanisms na present sa healthy airway. Next po. So yung key point dito, the airway secretion consists of the mucus layer where mucin glycoprotein is located and the watery periciliary layer. Droplets of mucus from the secretory cells from plaques in the distal non-ciliated airway, and these coalesce into continuous layer in the more proximal ciliated airway. Mucociliary transport results from the movement of the mucus gel by the beating cilia. There are approximately 200 cilia on each cell. So cilia are about 7 micrometer in length sa larger airways and shorten to 5 micrometer or slightly less sa smaller bronchioles naman. Meron sa merong specialized surfactant layer na that sits atop the cilia and it acts as functional barrier between the periciliary fluid and mucus gel. And ito yung layer that ensures the efficient mucus clearance by allowing cilia to transmit energy without entanglement, while also facilitating a continuous mucus sheet and preventing yung evaporation of the underlying fluid. Next. We have here the factors affecting mucociliary transport. Mucociliary transport velocity varies in the normal lung and has been estimated at about 1.5 millimeter per minute in peripheral airways and 20 millimeter per minute in the trachea. Transport rates are slower in the presence of following conditions or substances, many of which are associated with airway damage. So first, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or COPD and cystic fibrosis airway drying. Example, yung use of dry gas for mechanical ventilation. Second, narcotics and endotracheal suctioning, airway trauma, and tracheostomy, cigarette smoke. Atmospheric pollutants and allergens, these may increase transport especially sa low concentration, but sa higher concentration, toxic concentrations or with prolonged exposure, ito yung nakaka-decrease naman sa transport rates. Hyperoxia and hypoxia, and meron din tayo sa food intake and mucus production. Meron tayong common belief na ang pag-inom ng dairy milk ay nakakataas daw ng mucus production and congestion sa respiratory tract. Next pa. Meron tayong table dito ng effects of various drug groups on mucociliary clearance. The drug group and yung ciliary bit niya, mucus production and transport. For the first one, the beta-adrenergic agents, nag-i-increase ang ciliary bit and increase din ang mucus production. Both increase and decrease naman sa transport. Cholinergic agents, increase ciliary beat, increase mucus production, and increase in transport. For methylxanthines, increase ciliary beat, increase production, and both naman sa transport. The last one is the corticosteroids sa ciliary beat none, sa mucus production decreasing, and sa transport is none. Next po. Okay, to Joven.
So, nature of mucus secretion, no? In here, I'll be discussing, no, the structure and composition of mucus and how epithelial ion transport regulates airway surface liquid and how mucus, no, becomes abnormal in diseases like chronic and plastic bronchitis and asthma and cystic fibrosis. Next slide po. Here is the structure and composition of mucus. So when we say mucus, no, it is secreted by surface goblet cells and your submucosal glands. Main role nito is to protect the airway epithelium from pathogens or environmental particles. As you can see, no, it's 90 to 95% water siya, and yung structure niya is organized by mucins na nag-give ngayon ng parang gel-like properties niya, and its major component is mucin glycoproteins po. Next slide po. Here's the figure. In this, you can see the basic structure of a mucin molecule. Meron siyang protein backbone and nakatouch dyan yung mga carbohydrate side chains which we call your oligosaccharides. And para siyang ano siya, bottle brush siya ganun. And yung side chains dyan na naka-attach through o glycosidic bonds sa amino acids like your serine and threonine. Yung mga long strands dyan are linked together, no, by disulfide bonds between cysteine residues, and these cross links create now a gel network that traps water and forms the mucus gel. Because of this structure, no, mucus is elastic but not too viscous, no, under normal conditions. Next slide po. And yan, meron po tayong types of mucins. Yung types of mucins po natin is your secreted mucins, which consists of your MUC5AC and MUC5B. And meron din po yung membrane-centered mucins, which MUC1, MUC4, etc. Sa MUC5AC and MUC5B po, ito yung main gel na nagfo-form ng mucins natin sa airway mucus. Well, and your MUC5AC is mostly produced siya by your goblet cells in the airway surface epithelium, while the mucus 5B naman is from your submucosal glands. Yung dalawa na to is sila yung responsible, sabi ko nga kanina, sila yung responsible sa gel structure of mucus natin. As for the physical properties of mucus, no, as you can see, it is low viscosity, moderate elasticity, hydrophilic, and sponge-like. It requires adequate hydration and does not easily absorb topical water. Even though no, mucus is mostly water, kapag nag-form na siya ng gel, hindi siya gaano nag-absorb ng water. Kaya hydration, no, has to be regulated during formation. Kasi if yung hydration is abnormal, yung mucus natin is nagiging makapal pa siya or sticky and mahirap siyang i-clear. Next slide po. Airway surface liquid and ion transport. The airway surface liquid, especially, no, the periciliary layer, kailangan niyang at the height of an extended cilium for proper mucus movement, and your ion transport across epithelial cells controlled this fluid depth. Next po. Ayan, meron po tayong figure ng epithelial ion transport mechanism. In this figure, no, sodium enters the epithelial cell through epithelial sodium channels or your ENaC on the apical membrane. And then it napapump out siya through the sodium-potassium ATP base pump on the basolateral side. And chloride can be secreted through the CFTR channel or the cystic fibrosis transmembrane ion conductance regulator channel, which is regulated by your cyclic adenosine monophosphate or CAMP. And when sodium is absorbed, water follows. Remember po natin yun, as with when sodium is absorbed, water follows, and when chloride is secreted, water also moves into the airway surface liquid. Now this balance, no, is maintains na the correct hydration for an effective mucociliary clearance. Okay, next slide po. Ayan, here we have your different diseases. we have a key point. Mucociliary clearance becomes the backbone of chronic bronchitis, asthma, and cystic fibrosis. When hydration or composition changes, now mucus clearance now becomes impaired. Now this leads to the retention of secretions, infections, and inflammation. And take note that sputum is different from mucus, and as it contains inflammatory cells, DNA, bacteria, and debris. And kapag sinabi natin green sputum, this is due to myeloperoxidase from neutrophils, meaning it is mostly pus and not just mucus or pus. Yeah. Next slide po. First, we have your chronic bronchitis. When we say chronic bronchitis, it is characterized by an excessive mucus production due to an enlarged submucosal glands and increased goblet cells. And main cause dito is like tobacco use, tobacco smoke, ganun. And yung mga patients na nakaka-experience nito is nakaka-experience sila ng progressive lung function decline and frequent hospitalizations. Next, we have your asthma. In severe asthma, thick mucus can completely obstruct your airways and can occur acutely or chronically. And interestingly, ang interesting dito is yung aggressive beta agonist use may sometimes contribute to secretion of more viscous mucus when receptors are fully saturated. Next slide po. Here we have your bronchorrhea. When we say bronchorrhea, it is seen in chronic asthma and may respond to anti-inflammatory therapy. And it's not always mucus overproduction. And it involves excessive watery sputum production and may respond to corticosteroids or macrolides when inflammation is present. And some congenital causes do not respond to therapy. And you have your plastic bronchitis, and it is the formation of large airway casts. It is gelatinous or rigid and may cause central airway obstruction and high mortality in severe cases. And plastic bronchitis, rare lang siya, pero serious pa rin siya kahit rare siya. And yung mga patients may cough up cast na shape, parang shape nila is parang bronchial tree siya. And yung treatment din nila is nakadepende to some underlying cause such as your inflammation and or lymphatic abnormalities. Next slide po. Last, we have your cystic fibrosis. When we say this cystic fibrosis, it is defective cystic fibrosis transmembrane ion conductance regulator. And it is an excess sodium absorption, decreased chloride secretion, reduced periciliary fluid, airway filled with DNA-rich pus. Cystic fibrosis is caused by the dysfunction of your CFTR protein. Now, this leads to excessive sodium absorption and reduced chloride secretion. Water is reabsorbed from the airway surface na nagkakos ngayon ng dehydration ng periciliary layer nyo. And contrary to older beliefs, cystic fibrosis sputum contains very little intact mucin. It is mostly DNA-rich pus from your neutrophils. Next slide po.
So next, the physical properties of mucus. So adhesive forces. It is the adhesion is the force between unlike molecules in the airway. It describes the attraction between the mucus and the airway surface. So it increase adhesion impairs secretion clearance by airflow and coughing. So mucokinetic agents reduce this problem by either acting as adhesive, example given is surfactant, to decrease mucus adhesivity, and enhancing airflow and cough effectiveness. Mucolytics may also aid clearance by disrupting mucus bonding to the epithelium, thereby reducing frictional or inertial adhesion. Next is cohesive forces. The attractive forces between like molecules in mucus, cohesion results from elongation of the mucus micromolecule. So meron dito yung rheology. So ano nga ba ang rheology? It is the study of the formation and flow of matter. It describes how mucus responds to applied forces. So next is viscosity. Ano nga ba ang viscosity? It is the resistance of a fluid to flow, defined as the ratio of applied force to the rate of flow. Last is elasticity. Elasticity, it is the ability of a material to return to its original shape after deformation. Its energy is stored during deformation and released when the force is removed. Next. So we move on and discuss the mucus as a viscoelastic material. Mucus gel is a viscoelastic material exhibiting both solid and liquid behavior. So as a solid, it undergoes elastic deformation. It is storing energy when forces is applied. As a liquid, it flows and dissipates energy under sa stress. During ciliary motion, yung gel is stretched by the cilia and its elastic recovery propels it forward, while it simultaneously flows forward as a liquid under the cilia's power stroke. So next is the spinability or cohesivity of mucus. Spinability measures mucus' ability to stretch into threads, reflecting its cohesivity and correlating with mucociliary transport. So higher spinability indicates better transport, while purulent sputum lowers it. Ang tenacity derived from cohesivity determines how easily mucus can be cleared by coughing with higher tenacity and reducing clearance. Next is the non-Newtonian nature of mucus. Mucus exhibits non-Newtonian and thixotrophic behavior. So meaning its viscosity changes with applied force and shear rate. Unlike Newtonian fluids, mucus often decreases in viscosity as shear increases, and some show an apparent yield stress, so making sputum easier to clear by cough. So these changes reflect alterations in micromolecule chains and cross-linking. Accurate evaluation of mucus properties and drug effects requires standardized testing under controlled shear conditions along the linear stress strain range. Next.
Okay, next for our mucoactive agents. Next po. Mucolysis and mucociliary clearance. So, key point, 3 drugs are currently approved by aerosol to modify airway secretions. We have the N-acetylcysteine or NEC, Dornice alpha, and hypertonic saline. Mucolytic agents decrease the elasticity and viscosity of mucus because the gel structure is broken down. Next slide po. The therapeutic options for controlling mucus hypersecretions are outlined as follows. Number 1, remove causative factors where possible. And meron dito tatlo, D, treat infections, stopping smoking, and avoidance of pollution and allergens. The second one is optimize tracheobronchial clearance. Letter A, use bronchodilators if there is an increase in expiratory airflow. Example, sa mga may asthma. Letter B, administer bronchial hygiene measures. First dito, cough, deep breathing, postural drainage, and other airway clearance devices and maneuvers. Letter C, improve airflow by exercise and nutrition rehabilitation. So dito, ito yung mga strategies that focuses on improving the body's natural ability to clear airways. And number 3 is use mucoactive agents when indicated. Dito naman, this involves using specific medications designed to help manage mucus when necessary. Next po. So we have here the table for drugs currently used for or under investigation as mucus controlling and secretion controlling agents in respiratory tract for aerosolization. The drug and its description. The first one, Dornice alpha for peptide mucolytic. And then next is P2Y agent or denufosol, and it increases epithelial mucus and chloride secretion. Hyperosmolar saline for expectorant hydrator. Dry powder mantinol, also expectorant hydrator. Thymosin beta-4, peptide mucolytic. Surfactants, adhesive phospholipid mucokinetic. Beta agonist, secretagogues, and potentially mucokinetic if airflow increases. Macrolide antibiotics for mucoregulatory, anticholinergic agents, and corticosteroid for mucoregulatory also. And the last, gene therapy normalizes secretory cell function and mucociliary clearance. Next po.
So in here, we have your mucolytics and expectorants. Next slide po. So ano nga ba ang mucolytics? When we say mucolytics, these are not the drugs that decrease the thickness or viscosity of mucus. And classic mucolytics work by breaking disulfide bonds in mucins, or pag dinidisrupt yung structural components na gumagawa sa mucus that makes the mucus sticky and hard to clear. And ginagamit din siya in selected respiratory conditions only. Next slide po. First, we have your N-acetylcysteine or NAC. N-acetylcysteine or NAC is a classic mucolytic. It works by breaking your disulfide bonds in mucous proteins na naglo-lower ngayon ng viscosity niya. Ginagamit din siya orally as a gamot for acetaminophen overdose para protektahan yung liver natin. Pero yung mga aerosolized NAC, hindi siya recommended for lung diseases kasi wala pang nagpapakitang mga studies na effective nga siya. And next, and bakit nga ba NAC is not recommended na gamitin? Even though yung NAC is parang nag-work lang siya, in theory, wala pa talagang studies nagpapakita na nag-improve nga siya ng mucus clearance kapag ini-inhale. And it may even be harmful, Kasi nga, binibreakdown niya yung normal mucin structure, pero hindi niya nire-remove yung pathological components like your DNA and F-actin. And dahil dito, tsaka sa side effects niya, hindi siya recommended for airway clearance therapy. And high risk siya because of its side effects. Next slide po. So ano nga ba yung mga hazards ng NAC? Mga hazard number 1 concern dyan is the bronchospasm due to its acidity. This is especially risky in asthmatic patients kasi nga other side effects niya rin is yung pagsusuka, pagkahilo, and irritation. It also has a strong sulfur-like odor that patients often dislike. Unpleasant yung amoy niya kaya, and it is risk of airway obstruction. Next po. Next, we have your Dornase alpha or your pulmozyme. This is a peptide mucolytic specifically indicated for cystic fibrosis. And it works by breaking down extracellular DNA released from neutrophils, which makes your cystic fibrosis sputum very thick and sticky. So bakit nga ba, why is it that Dornase alpha works in cystic fibrosis, Kasi in cystic fibrosis, chronic infection attracts neutrophils that release DNA into the airway. And this DNA is extremely viscous and contributes heavily to thick sputum. Dornase alpha breaks down this DNA, which reduces sputum viscosity and makes it easier to clear. Next po. Yan yung dose and administration. So ano nga bang tamang dose and administration for Dornase alpha? The usual dose niya is 2.5 milligrams into 2.5 milliliters. And dapat once a day lang siya via nebulizer. And it comes in a single-use ampoule and must be refrigerated. And the proper nebulizer selection is important to ensure correct particle size and effective delivery. Next po. Ay, pag-ibalik pala, sorry. So we also have your adverse effects. Ano nga ba yung epekto ng Dorni's alpha sa katawan natin? Sabi dyan, it's voice alteration, pharyngitis, laryngitis, rash, mild respiratory symptoms, and low discontinuation rate. Side effects are generally mild and similar to placebo in clinical trials. Pero overall naman, considered safe pa rin siya and kaya pa namang i-tolerate. Next slide po. Here we have your F-actin depolymerizing drugs. These drugs, like gelsolin and thymosin beta-4, break down F-actin filaments found in cystic fibrosis sputum. These agents may work synergistically with Dorni's alpha by further disrupting the DNA actin network na nagre-reduce ng sputum thickness niya, and it may enhance Dorni's activity. And we have your expectorants. When we say expectorants, it increases airway fluid, it promotes mucus clearance, then not true to mucolytics, and limited proven efficacy. Now, expectorants are different from mucolytics. Instead of breaking down mucus structure, ini-increase nila yung airway secretions to make the mucus easier to expel. Pero, wala pa masyadong nagpapakitang mga studies na may clinical benefit, clinical effectiveness nga siya. Next slide po. We have your guaifenesin. Guaifenesin is a common over-the-counter expectorant. It is believed to stimulate the gastrointestinal tract, which reflexively increases airway secretion. However, wala rin masyadong nagpapakitang effective studies na nagpapakita na effective siya in lower respiratory tract infection. And it is marketed as Mucinex and not proven effective for lower airway infections. Mannitol. Mannitol, marketed brand name niya is Bronchitol. It works by drawing water into mucus through an osmotic effect. It improves mucus hydration, clearance, pero it can cause bronchospasms. So pre-treatment with a bronchodilator is recommended. Next slide, please. Sodium bicarbonate. It is base solution used for tracheal irrigation, no proven clinical benefit, and may cause bronchial irritation. Sodium bicarbonate has been used to alkalinize and irritate airways to draw water into secretions. But there's no strong evidence that it improves the mucus clearance, and it can also cause bronchial irritation, so it is not recommended. And we have your P2Y2 agonist, or the denufazole. It stimulates chloride secretion and increase mucociliary clearance and minimal improvement in FM. F1. Linifazole stimulates chloride secretion through P2Y2 receptors, improving airway hydration. Some studies in cystic fibrosis showed na may small improvements na in lung function, but yung effect niya is minimal lang. Okay, next slide po.
Okay, for the mucokinetic agents. Mucokinetic agents, so yung key point, other agents modifying airway secretions include inhaled anticholinergic such as yung mga atropine, tricyclic nucleotides, phospholipids, antiproteases, and gene therapy. Ano nga ba yung mucokinetic agents? So, ito yung mga nag-i-increase sa cough clearance by increasing expiratory airflow or by reducing sputum adhesivity and tenacity. Next po. So we have bronchodilators. For bronchodilators, we have beta agonists. It increases ciliary beat frequency, but this has little effect on mucus clearance. Of greater importance is that these medications can increase expiratory airflow in individuals with an asthmatic component of airway disease. So sa beta agonists, when we say pag-asthma naman, usually it is dilation of the airway. So, nagiging narrow yung airway. And beta agonist ang ginagamit dito kasi it relaxes the airway muscles and tumutulong siya sa mga asthma patients nga to breathe better by opening yung airway. And in people with conditions like bronchiectasis or malasia naman, kapag na-relax ang mga muscles na ito, magko-collapse ang airway during breathing. And kapag collapse ang airways, nagde-decrease ang airflow and natatrap ang mucus which makes breathing worse instead na maging better. And next, surface active phospholipids. We have here surfactant is produced in the conducting airways and in the alveoli and is essential for mucociliary and cleft clearance. Surfactant form a thin slippery layer between airway mucus and the lung tissue. Surfactant acts as lubricant na nag-aalaw sa mucus to move easily and to prevent the airways from drying out. Para ma-ensure ng cilia ay mapush ang mucus palabas. Inflammation and enzymes degrade this surfactant and kung wala ito, nagiging sticky ang mucus. Adheres to the airway walls and hindi siya makikleared sa pag-ubo which leads to breathing difficulties. Next po. So, next is the mucoregulatory medications. Next slide po. Medications that decrease mucus hypersecretion are referred to as mucoregulatory agents. These medications include anti-inflammatory drugs such as yung corticosteroids, which are effective at decreasing the inflammatory stimulus that leads to hypersecretion. So, decreasing hypersecretion by goblet cells and yung submucosal gland is another approach siya para ma-reduce ang burden ng airway secretion. Anticholinergic medications are also used extensively as mucoregulatory medications. Atropine naman is routinely given perioperatively to prevent laryngospasm and to decrease mucus secretion associated with endotracheal intubation. The mucoregulatory medications include macrolide antibiotics. So ang macrolide antibiotics, ito yung mga antibiotics that were discovered about 50 years ago and derivatives of erythromycin. These medications also have immunomodulatory properties. They decrease hyperimmunity or inflammation to more normal and beneficial levels. The mechanism of these properties is different from that of corticosteroids. The immunomodulatory and mucoregulatory properties of macrolide antibiotics have been exploited for the treatment ng DPB, a chronic inflammatory airway disease with great morbidity and mortality kapag hindi siya na-treat. And for patients with cystic fibrosis ay pagka nagkakaroon ng sobrang activity ng serine proteases sa kanilang baga. Ang serine proteases ay isang uri ng enzyme. So, yun naman pag sa cystic fibrosis. Next po. So, for the other mucoactive agents, antiproteases, patients with cystic fibrosis have increased activity of serine proteases on the respiratory epithelial cells. It has been shown that yung neutrophil proteases cause a secretory response from submucosal glands with an increase sa mucus production. So, yung intravenous administration or inhalation of antitrypsin, it suppresses the activity of neutrophil elactase and restores the bacteria killing capacity of neutrophils. Next po. Hyperosmolar saline. Hypertonic saline has been used as an irritant para ma-induce ang cough. Hypertonic saline 7% can improve mucociliary transport and yung lung function. and it thought to be largely due to the acute effects of inducing cough and hydrating the airway surface fluid. Hyperosmolar dry powder mannitol naman, it improves quality of life and pulmonary function sa mga adult subjects with non-CF bronchiectasis, and it significantly improves the surface adhesivity and cough clearability of expectorated sputum. Next. Okay, for the gene therapy. Gene transfer therapy represents a novel use of aerosols. Efforts in this arena have centered largely on complementary DNA transfer of the normal CFTR gene in CF patients. Gene transfer was first attempted by inserting the normal CFTR gene into a replication defective adenovirus vector by bolus bronchoscopic delivery of the vector. An anticipated host immune response to the vector led to re-evaluation of this strategy. Sa gene therapy, para maging effective ito, ang vector at ang package nito ay dapat non-immunogenic siya and stable para kayanin yung shear forces during aerosolization at safe sa transfected cells. Hindi dapat dito pinapataas ang cell turnover and dapat stable ang pag-integrate sa progenitor cell genome o kaya naman ay safe at effective sa repeated administration at kaya niyang ma-reach ang cellular target of relevance. Next po.
So using mucoactive therapy with physiotherapy and airway clearance devices. Next slide po. Mucoactive therapy is combined with physiotherapy and airway clearance devices to improve mucus removal in patients with chronic respiratory diseases. And which is totoo naman, mucoactive therapy works best when it is used together with physical airway clearance methods in diseases such as cystic fibrosis and COPD, where thick or excessive secretions interfere with ventilation. And by combining medications and physical techniques, secretion clearance becomes more effective and lung function can be preserved. Next po. We have your airway clearance therapy in cystic fibrosis. Airway clearance therapy is recommended for all patients with cystic fibrosis to improve sputum removal and maintain lung function. For patients with cystic fibrosis, airway clearance is part of daily management. Since no one method is clearly the best, the treatment plan depends on what works for the patient. When the patients are comfortable with the method, they are more consistent, which improves the results over time. Next slide po. Cephalad airflow bias and mucus movement. Cephalad airflow bias refers to the upward movement of mucus during exhalation. Mucus kasi normally moves upward because airflow becomes faster when we breathe out. And when a person coughs, airflow becomes even stronger and it creates more force para i-push pa yung mucus pataas. And this is one of the main ways how our body clears secretions. Next slide po. Cough is the primary mechanism of secretion clearance in many acute airway diseases. Uh, Coughing helps remove mucus by creating strong airflow and pressure inside the lungs. However, in COPD patients, yung airway kasi nila pwedeng mag-collapse siya too early. And kaya nalilimit yung airflow. That is why the Huff technique is preferred because it reduces airway collapse while still moving secretions. Next slide po. Conventional chest physical therapy. Conventional chest physical therapy includes directed coughing, postural drainage, percussion, and vibration. Yung traditional chest physiotherapy, combine mo siya sa several techniques, pero wala pa kasing ibang studies show that hindi pa siya, that proper directed coughing pa rin is the most important part. And percussion and vibration may help in some cases, but they do not significantly increase mucus clearance compared to coughing alone. The other techniques may provide limited additional benefit and are not always necessary. Next po. The role of gravity. Gravity is not, parang mali yung PP. Gravity is not a major factor in normal mucociliary transport because healthy mucus resists gravity-dependent movement. Although postural drainage is part of traditional therapy, evidence does not strongly support its added benefit. It may also pose risk for patients with reflux or muscle weakness. Even though postural drainage uses gravity to move mucus, it is not the primary mechanism of clearance. Some research shows that it does not always improve results when added to coughing. Sa ibang patients, yung certain positions can even cause complications na. Next, we have your insufflation and exsufflation. Insufflation and exsufflation therapy uses alternating positive and negative pressures to stimulate a natural cough. The lungs are inflated with positive pressure and then rapidly deflated with negative pressure to create high expiratory flow. This method is mainly used in patients with neuromuscular weakness. So we have here the cough assist device na tumutulong sa mga patients natin who cannot cough effectively on their own. Kaya it pushes air into the lungs and then quickly pulls it out to imitate no strong cough. This is especially helpful, no? Sabi ko nga dyan with weak respiratory muscles. Next po. Active cycle of breathing and FET. The active cycle of breathing technique combines relaxed breathing, deep breathing exercises, and forced expiratory technique. ACB no, is a structure method that includes breathing control and Huffing, sorry. Huffing no, is ano nga ba yung huffing? Huffing is a controlled exhalation that keeps the airway open. This makes it safer and more effective for patients who are prone to airway collapse. This approach reduces excessive airway compression. Okay po, next. We have your autogenic drainage. Autogenic drainage is a controlled breathing technique that uses progressively increasing lung volumes to mobilize secretions. Now, this technique requires patients to be aware of their breathing pattern. They start with sa low volume breaths and slowly in-increase nila yung lung volume para ma-move yung mucus pataas. Once the mucus reaches the central airways, half coughing na is being performed. Coughing is delayed until secretions reach the larger airways. Next po. We have your exercise. Exercise increases ventilation and promotes sputum production compared to rest. Increased airflow during activity enhances mucus mobilization. When kapag yung patients nag-exercise, 'di ba yung breathing nila is mas faster and mas deeper. Ito ngayon nag-increase ng airflow in the lungs, okay? And this helps loosen and move the mucus. That is why yung exercise is encouraged palagi. Na-encourage pa rin natin palagi yung mga patients natin, especially with those with chronic respiratory conditions. Next po. Next. Yeah, we have your positive airway pressure. Positive airway pressure techniques help prevent airway collapse during exhalation and improve expiratory flow. Positive airway pressure keeps the airway open longer during exhalation. Okay? At ito yung nag-a-allow now to more air to pass through and ma-move yung mucus pataas pa. And even simple pursued lip breathing works on the same principle. By maintaining back pressure, these methods enhance mucus movement toward the upper airway. Examples are like your EPAP, CPAP, and pursued lip breathing. Okay, next slide po. Here we have your high frequency technique. High frequency techniques use oscillations to enhance mucus clearance. These oscillations may alter mucus properties and improve airway interaction. The vibrations produced by these techniques helps loosen the mucus and makes it easier to remove. In cystic fibrosis, some mucoactive agents may be more effective when used during high frequency therapy. Okay, next slide po. Here we have your oscillatory devices. Combine positive expiratory pressure with airway vibrations to mobilize secretions. These devices aim to stabilize airways and prevent premature closure. However, their effectiveness may depend on proper technique and patient adherence. Devices like this no, require yung correct positioning po and breathing technique para mas gumana siya ng maayos. Kasi if hindi mo siya ginamit ng tama, yung effectiveness niya kasi is pwedeng mag-decrease or baka hindi natin makita yung pag-isipan natin ng hindi maganda yung device or pag hindi natin siya ginamit ng maayos. Kaya importante siyang gamitin siya ng maayos and proper. That is why no patient training is still important to give knowledge and yeah. Next slide po. Intrapulmonary percussive ventilation. Intrapulmonary percussive ventilation delivers rapid bursts of airflow into the lungs to mobilize routine secretions. It maintains airway pressure while producing percussive mini-bursts. This method can also deliver nebulized medication to distal airways. IPV now works by sending repeated small bursts of air into the lungs. Now this burst no, it help loosen secretions and improve your ventilation. It also allows simultaneous medication delivery. Next slide po. High-frequency chest wall compression vest. The high-frequency chest wall compression vest delivers oscillatory pressure to the chest wall through an inflatable garment. This oscillation increases airflow and enhances mucus mobilization. It is commonly used in cystic fibrosis patients. The vest vibrates the chest wall to create the airflow changes inside the lungs. Now, this helps loosen and moves the mucus and it is widely used, sabi ko nga dyan, sabi nga dyan, it is widely used in cystic fibrosis patients but should be used carefully those with weak cough. Okay, next slide po. Next slide po. Here we have your key point. Patients with long-term problems of secretion management should be taught as many of these techniques as they can master for adoption in their therapeutic routines. Sabi, kagaya nga, there is no single best technique for airway clearance. The best results come from kapag pinag-combine na natin yung medication and physical therapy while ensuring the patient compliance. Always natin tatandaan that long-term consistency is essential for preventing complication. Next slide po.
Okay, let's move with the future mucus controlling agents. Next slide po. Future mucus controlling agents. In the past, mucolytics were targeted only at reducing the viscosity of the mucus. In the context of the normal physiology of ciliary movement, logic suggests that thicker mucus would be moved more efficiently by ciliary contact and elastic recovery than would thin, low viscosity solutions. Modern treatment of bronchial hypersecretion should focus on normalizing the theological or rheological properties of mucus to maximize cohesive, non-adhesive transport rather than merely liquefying it. So, sabi dito, mas madaling ilabas ang mucus kapag malapot and hindi malagkit na parang buong-buo. And kesa sa liquid, kaya mas efficient ang pag-ubo kaysa doon sa malabnaw na tinatawag na piso mucus. Therefore, optimizing viscosity and reducing the adhesion to the airway wall is mas effective siya kaysa sa simple liquefaction. Next slide po. So we have a figure po dito, the diagram. Purulent sputum has high elasticity and viscosity, and mucolytic agents such as Dornis alpha might restore normal transport properties by reducing tonicity, viscosity, and elasticity. With low viscoelasticity, example bronchorrhea, restricting or cross-linking agents would increase viscosity and elasticity to improve transport, such as agents have been termed, yung tawag doon is mucospecific agents. And dito sa diagram, this graph illustrates po the Goldilocks principle for mucus, and para ma-clear ang lungs ng effectively, hindi dapat ito masyadong thick and hindi rin dapat masyadong thin. Ang effective airway clearance is nakadepende on keeping the mucus within specific sweet spot. Moving it too far dyan sa graph in either direction, too thick or too thin, it makes it difficult para sa katawan to clear the lungs. Next po.
So next is the respiratory care assessment of mucoactive drug therapy. So assessing drug therapy for respiratory secretion is difficult. FEV1 is insensitive and changes in gas trapping or lung function over time are better indicators, while daily sputum volume is unreliable. So therefore, the following assessment should be performed before treatment. Assess patient adequacy of cough and level of consciousness to determine need for mechanical sanctioning or need for adjunct bronchial hygiene to clear airway with treatment or whether treatment is contraindicated. Next is during therapy and short term. First, instruct and then verify correct use of aerosol nebulization system, including cleaning. Second, assess therapy based on indication for drug. And third, monitor airflow changes for adverse effects such as decrease in FEV1. Fourth is assess breathing pattern and rate. Fifth, assess patient subjective reaction to treatment, that is changes in breathing, effort, or pattern. The last one is discontinue therapy if patient experiences adverse reaction. Next is the long term. First, monitor number and severity of respiratory tract infections, need for antibiotic therapy, emergency visit, and hospitalizations. Second is monitor pulmonary function for improvement or slowing of the rate of deterioration. The last one is general conditions. If the FEV is less than 25% of predicted, it becomes difficult to mobilize and expectorate secretion. So theoretically, with profound airflow compromise, secretion clearance could decrease. Use mucoactive therapy with caution in patient with severely compromised vital capacity and expiratory flow, such as in the presence of end-stage pulmonary disease or neuromuscular disorders. Gastroesophageal reflux and inability of the patient to protect the airway are risk factors for postural drainage. So if that necessary with mucoactive therapy, mucoactive agent should be discontinued if there is evidence of clinical deterioration. The last one is the patient with acute bronchitis or exacerbation of chronic disease. CF and COPD may be less responsive to mucoactive therapy, possibly because of infection and muscular weakness, which can reduce airflow-dependent mechanism further. So, and this concludes our presentation on mucus drug controlling therapy, and thank you guys for listening.